All right, welcome everyone to the Softlock Podcast. We're recording this on June 9th. That's 6-9, a little 69 humor for you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and joining me is my astounding co-host, Jonathan. And this is the Softlock Podcast, where every other week you're going to get a deep dive sent straight to your podcast service of choice, or now YouTube, thanks to your support and feedback. We're kind of like the deepest dive, except really not at all. And all we do is just rant about video games.
Yep.
This week's deep dive is going to be into video game press conferences and showcases. So we're talking E3, Nintendo Directs, all that kind of stuff. We're coming hot off the heels of Summer Game Fest 2023, which seems to be making waves. I thought it was pretty good. I know we all thought different things about it. But either way, we're not really a news show or anything, so we'll be touching on it a little bit. But really, this episode is going to be talking about E3's past, all the presentations, how to make a good presentation, and stuff like that. So before we get into any of that, Jonathan, how are you feeling today?
I thought about this as soon as I was done with the last episode. I was like, oh, next episode, I'm going to be a full Wario land, like WarioWare. Excellent! You know, where he stutters a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's like but I feel like I'm more like a distorted yell. Or the reverse one where you go, that one. So I'm more of that one right now.
We've all felt that way before. I think, honestly, I'm kind of feeling that way a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What did I want to talk about? Oh, okay. I went to a retro game store today, and I love going to retro game stores. So the last episode, I think we talked about how we stopped in at one, and we kind of like peeked around and saw some stuff and got some stuff. This time, I just stopped myself from buying like everything in the store.
Really?
Yeah, because shout out, was it Classic Game Junkie in Glenside, PA?
Yep.
Everything was so cheap. It was crazy. I almost bought like 6 games.
Like what?
So I bought MGS 5 on the Xbox One and Yakuza Like a Dragon Steelbook Edition with the sleeve, with the download codes for Xbox One for $9.
What?
I spent, I don't even remember.
Like, Yakuza games are really cheap for some reason.
I know, it's crazy. But, we were looking at the same game a week ago in the Steelbook and everything, and it was like 21. And here it was 9 with the download codes included. Are you kidding me? How could I pass it up?
That is really weird.
So I'm looking forward to jumping into those. But, I know we both had a crazy day, and we just kind of want to talk about video games. Because it's kind of a release for both of us. So, why don't you tell me, the last couple episodes we started off talking a lot about Zelda. Let's do that again, but let's also talk about not Zelda a little bit, because I feel like not everyone loved Zelda as much as we did, and by that I mean they didn't play it, because if they played it, they would love it.
Right.
So tell me what your progress is like in Tears of the Kingdom right now, and then tell me what else you've been playing.
It's done. It's been beat. The story has been beat, and I believe it's been beat for you as well. Yes.
It is correct. I also finished the game. Roll credits.
That was a question more for the audience because I was sitting in front of you when you beat the game. But yeah, it's the story is over and there's still so much more game. And I don't know if we're gonna talk a little bit about the ending, but it was a pretty fine ending, and
I'd say spoiler free.
Spoiler free.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was exactly what it needed to be, and it wasn't out of the box or anything, but it was an ending, and it was good, and it made me smile, and I went, yep, all right, I'm satisfied.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
It was really hype moments. It had a really good boss fights. It was a really cool last area and everything, so I was quite pleased with it. And then rolled credits, immediately hopped back into the game, because it was literally an addiction for me.
Yeah, I wanted to see what was going on afterwards. I was like, ooh, is there going to be a...
Yeah, did you notice anything change? I didn't really see anything yet.
Nah, it just sets you back to... pre-final boss status, which is I really like it. It's not like it's a bad thing, but I've always really liked it when games keep going after the final boss and they're like, well, you did it.
Especially because you have to assume this is the last entry in this little Zelda trilogy.
Right.
So that wherever the characters are right before you solve everything is where their story ends.
Yeah.
So that's
unless I would say there's like a credit scene, like an Ocarina of Time. There's a big credit scene where everyone has a little festival.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
Ranch. We don't really get that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might have used that, but
No, I'm not too
It's a
worried
lot
about
of work.
it.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I liked how it ended and everything, and then I went back into the game, and I was only 40% done with the game.
Me too. I was like 41.
I had done half of all the side adventures, a bunch of side quests, a bunch of shrine quests, had a bunch of shrines unlocked, a bunch of light routes, and I'm still 40% done.
Yeah, I've done a lot of overworld exploration and Skyworld exploration. That's contributing to my 41%. And it's very interesting to see you and the other roommates and all of our other friends who are playing it, how their percentage is in completely different areas. It's very nice.
Yeah, I don't know, because I want to finish it. I definitely want to get all the shrines. I definitely want to get all the light routes. But I feel like I kind of got everything I wanted out of Zelda already. Mm-hmm. So I'm pumping the brakes.
I'm taking a breather too, yeah.
And I noticed. I like, it took me a while. The first step to realizing that you're having a problem is admitting it to yourself. I have been so physically and mentally unhealthy since Tears of the Kingdom came out, and it's because of that game. I have gotten no more than 6 hours of sleep almost every day since that game came out, and I think I've gained like 10 pounds.
You see, and I somehow I knew you were going to say this because recently you finished the stream last night, and because you were like, all right, I got to go to bed. I'm like, all right, we're finished the stream last. You beat the boss. And we're like, oh, okay, stream's over. It was a bit early, but that's fine. And then, you know, me and Isla went into the room, and we're just hanging out, and I was playing on my Switch, and I heard, beep, beep, Junk is online. I'm like, oh, yep, there it is.
And that is kind of me waning myself off of Zelda, because I'm still in that routine of you have to have a minimum hour of Switch time before you go to sleep. And what do you mean? How are you going to go to sleep if you didn't figure out what's up with the Yiga clan?
That's true.
So I have been still playing my Switch a little bit before bed, but like ever since I finished Zelda, it's been a lot less. Yeah. And I'm thankful for that, because I've been trying to wake up a lot earlier now since I'm like a real adult, which kind of sucks. But whenever you stay up until 1:30 in the morning playing Zelda or 2:30 in the morning playing Zelda, it gets tough.
You feel it the next day. Yeah, you can't. We're not invincible.
Yeah, but I had a great time with it, and I'm gonna go back to it. It's not like one of those things I'm gonna put down and never go back to.
I'm excited to see the eventual conclusion of some of these weird side quests.
Yeah, right.
I'm not rushing to finish them, but I feel like I'm gonna just pick up Tears of the Kingdom every so often and such, because I gotta know what happens to Colton.
Oh,
and that's not
God.
a joke. It sounded sarcastic, but I really do. I need to know what happens to that guy. I do like finding the bubble gems.
I don't know. This is a weird tangent. I don't know when I'm gonna finish this game. I might be like 30 by the time I actually 100% it, because I'm looking down the line.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna finish it by the time Final Fantasy 16 comes out. After that comes out, I've already committed to playing Xenoblade and finishing that. And then after that comes out, Pikmin's out.
You've got it scheduled like a job.
Right, it's crazy. And then after that, we're getting into like the fall, where we have all those new games that were announced at the Summer Game Fest coming out in October and September area. So I don't know when I'm going to finish this, but it'll happen.
This is just a small thing, but Isla's I was speaking to Isla's mother a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And she was visiting here. Were you here for that?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. But she was visiting, and I was playing a game on the TV. I was playing Zelda on the TV while Isla napped, so it was just me and Isla's mother. And she goes, so do you have to do you plan out what you're going to do when you're playing a game? And I thought about it, and I was like, oh shit. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I treat it like a job. Like when I was trying to finish Final Fantasy 4, when I was trying to do those bonus dungeons, which I did it. I had to plan it out, and I had to be like prepare myself to finish it. Like I was getting ready to go to work. It was crazy, and she made me go like a boom. So
well, that's kind of, I did that on purpose this year a little bit. That was kind of my New Year's resolution a little bit, because I have too many games. I own too many games, and I don't play any of them. So I had to like sit myself down, be like, all right, if you're gonna buy a game for full price, you have to know that you're gonna play it all right then. And I think I bought like 3 games this year full price, which is a little more than I even wanted by May or June. But I have to like systematically plan when I'm going to play games, or I just go off the rails and just drop them left and right and never finish anything. Yeah. I'm very bad at my attention span is not very large for games nowadays.
Yeah, it's I was going to say we're becoming a boomer, but I don't know if boomers
I think I'm like still a baby.
Yeah,
I can't focus on one thing
we're
for more
becoming
than
babies. I just said boomer because that's like the equivalent of old to many people. But yeah, it's more like becoming a baby.
I'm reverting. But what have you distracted yourself from Zelda with lately?
Played Wario Land 4. I beat Wario Land 4.
And it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I said, I'm not going to complete it. 2 days later, completed Wario Land 4. Bumped my rating up 1 point after completing
Oh, because you got the sexy princess. I see how you are.
No, I actually, because that's the thing. I've been trying to, my thing is that my like New Year's resolution, not my actual, but like what I've been doing the past like year or so, is I've been trying to squeeze out as much as I can out of games. Because I really like to finish a game feeling like I'm the expert, you know, a Baron Trump t-shirt, the expert. Do you remember that?
No, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Holy shit. I can't explain it, but there's a picture of Baron Trump, and he just has a t-shirt that just says the expert. And he looks really awkward, and it's always really, really funny. But when I
So you're saying you want to be Baron Trump?
No, I want to be the expert. I want to be whoever the expert is that shirt is referring to. I want to be that guy.
Okay.
When I finish a game, I want to be the expert of that game. You know, the definition of that is quite loose, but Wario Land 4 is one of those games where I feel like I enjoy it more the more I know about it. And I'm glad I went back and did it again because I finished Wario Land 4 the first time. I was like, all right, it came and went. It's pretty good, but I didn't really care that much. So going back and doing it again really made me go, all right, I get it. I get it now.
And so you played it on a Game Boy cart, right? Not Switch?
I did.
Okay, because I've been thinking about going back to it on Switch. I'm not going to lie. I really liked it.
I would do that if I had the expansion pack. And I don't have the expansion pack, and I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, I don't either. It's so ridiculously expensive.
Honestly, it might be worth it at this point, but I have all those games already, so...
I have some of them from the 3DS Ambassador, but I sold all my Game Boy Advance games when I was young, and I really regret it. Especially like Kirby and the Amazing Mirror I got rid of. What was it? WarioWare Twisted. I want to go back to.
Okay, that one is a fuck up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
I can't find any repros of that one.
Dude, when I was at the store today, they had a Japanese copy of Smooth Moves, and it was in like the orange cover, and it looked really cool, and it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but I already have Smooth Moves, and I wouldn't be able to read it, so I don't know. I couldn't justify it.
I need to go, and this is a call for help for the audience. I need to find American U.S. copies of the DS Dragon Quest games, specifically Dragon Quest 4. I can't fucking find them anywhere. Nowhere online. I can't find them for the life of me, dude. I can't do it. And I'm thinking about going to Game Junkie and seeing if they have it. I'm pretty sure I've gone there and I checked before. I can't find it. I'm desperate to find this.
I bet you could like find a store that would order it for you from eBay or something. And...
Maybe. The listings just simply don't exist. They're all European.
That's
crazy.
I'm
like, oh, it didn't release in America. It did. I don't know. I don't know.
I thought DS games weren't region locked, though. I don't think they are. I think 3DS games are, but then that poses the question, could you play a region-free DS cart on a 3DS?
Hold on. Older Nintendo DS and DS Lite software is region-free.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would work.
On a 3DS, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see why not, because it's not like the... I think that the software itself for 3DS is region locked. I don't think this, if the software of the DS game is region free, I don't see why it wouldn't work.
I'm gonna have to.
You can do a little investigation.
I'm gonna have to do a little investigating because if that is true, that changes everything. Because I'm getting really upset that I have every Dragon Quest game and I don't have Dragon Quest 4 and I can't find it.
You want to know I know that is because I was a couple years ago. I was like, dude. I missed so many classic games that everyone loves. I gotta play them all. I gotta emulate everything. I gotta play everything. I missed out, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna play it. You know the first one I'm gonna play is Chrono Trigger. Oof. That's the one. I don't know why. I just picked it out of the hat. I was like, Chrono Trigger.
It's a good one.
DS Chrono Trigger apparently is a pretty good way to play it, and I love playing things on my DS. So I was like, let's find it. Go online. Only Japanese copies, but it has an English setting, so everyone just resells the Japanese copies.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see one English copy. My
first year of college, I got really lucky because GameStop still had the DS section. And it was like literally at the tail end of the DS and of GameStop, like literally having those in stock, like literally in their stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really lucky those last couple of years that they had the DS sections, because I got a lot of like legitimate easy copies of lots of pretty good games, including Chrono Trigger for DS, Golden Sun, Dark Dawn.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. I got all 3 of the Castlevania DS games.
Were they like cheap, or was it GameStop price?
No, it was cheap because I guess COVID. This is still before COVID, so gaming collecting didn't explode quite so viciously yet. So I got them for cheap. I got them for like $20-$30 each, like or lower.
Which I'm not really surprised though, because the GameStop near where we went to school is like, I wouldn't imagine a lot of people are going there looking for retro games. So
that's where I got Dark Dawn.
Yeah, so people probably sold them back when that game was still out, and then it just sat there for years.
Yeah, because who's going to get Golden Sun, Dark Dawn
unless
you're seeking it?
Golden Sun, Dark Dawn is an excellent video
game. I believe you, and I'm very excited to play it, but it is not popular enough for anyone to go, oh, I want it, you know?
Remember when maybe not everyone, but I at least was very convinced that Isaac was going to be in Smash Ultimate?
I think a lot of people were on the same wavelength as you. I want to see a number of those people who actually have played Golden Sun, because I think it might be smaller than we think.
I think it's definitely one of those franchises that people know about, because whenever the Smash, who's going to be in Smash, who's going to be in this collection or whatever comes up, people always bring up Golden Sun.
Yeah.
Because they know people like Golden Sun.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if a lot of people actually play it. And I feel like that happens a lot.
It does, but now it's on Game Boy Advance. So, I mean, the online, Game Boy Advance online.
Oh, is it really?
I think so. I think it was one of the advertised ones.
Oh, I might have to invest in that.
Yeah, I don't know if Lost Age is going to be on there, but I know the first one is on there. I'm at least almost pretty positive. Along with, I think, both of the Fire Emblem games.
Okay.
And then the Japanese Game Boy Advance Online got all 3 Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem games. Unfortunate.
Damn. Well, I only played the Game Boy Advance Golden Sun when I couldn't read. So I don't even know what I did. I don't even know if I did, but the Dark Dawn was the first one I played, and I really liked it. So I might go back to the Game Boy one.
First time I played, this is the last thing I'll say about Golden Sun. First time I played the original Golden Sun, I think it was right after I got Dark Dawn, and I was like, oh, well, I kind of want to play the first 2. And on my little laptop, I downloaded a shitty emulator and had a ROM of Golden Sun. And I played it like super blown up, blurry, and stretched. I was like, oh! And I got a headache and I deleted it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was the end of my emulating and ROMing days.
Speaking of shitty things on your computer that give you a headache, have you ever heard of a game called Pony Island?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, and I am very scared to play it. And I bought Pony Island when it came out a really, really long time ago. And I was scared to play it because I must have been like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
And every time I clicked it, it would go, the J-Monster is playing Pony Island. And I'd go, and everyone would be notified. And I was like, wait, I'm not actually playing Pony Island. It's a horror game where, so.
I kind of felt that way too. But, so I also got Pony Island on my PC a long time ago when it came out. Opened it up, and then immediately, for some reason, was so terrified of it. Even though I don't really think it's all that scary.
No.
I don't think it's even really a horror game. I think it's just kind of a weird game, right?
It's if you're a little young and new to horror, that's a little scary.
Either way, I've always had this weird obsession with that game, even though I've never played it. Because every time I open my Steam library, I see it there, and I remember that one night when I got really scared of it. I'm like, oh, I should really play that. That is so my shit. It's like retro. It's weird. It's meta. It's creepy. It's ponies.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna play that, and then I never played it. But then they made another game.
They made another one?
Inscryption is by the same developers.
Whoa.
And so
I feel like I knew that, and I just forgot.
When they announced Inscryption, so for those who aren't familiar, it's an indie game that came out. Oh, it's kind of old now already, isn't it? When did that game come out? I don't even know. Yeah, when did Inscryption come out? Was it 2019? When did Inscryption come out? Because they staggered the release between PC and PlayStation. Oh, it came out in 2021. I'm talking on my ass. Okay. So when that game came out, I was like, this is the most Jake game of all time.
Right.
It's a deck building, roguelite, creepy, meta game with comedy
With comedy!
With comedy, and it's made by the person who made Pony Island. I was like, this is the most Jake game of all time. I'm obsessed with this. And I followed it. I followed the person on Twitter. I looked at all the developer updates, and then it came out, PC only. And you know how I feel about PC. So it was a hard sell for me. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then every time, this happened to me 3 times. I opened up Steam with money in my wallet to buy Inscryption, and then saw Pony Island in my library, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna play it. It's gonna be like Pony Island. I'm never gonna play it. Then they announced it was coming to console. I was hyped, but it wasn't on Switch.
Yeah.
And that game belongs to in a handheld form. And finally, it came to Switch last year, this year. No, end of last year, December.
Recently.
And on my Game of the Year list last year, I marked Inscryption as game I wish I played. And this year, I finally got around to it. After I finished Zelda, I was looking through my Switch library. I was like, what am I going to play? Now is the time. And I am happy to confirm, I've only played about 3 hours so far. I haven't even gotten past the first section of the game. It is the most Jake game of all time.
The most Jake game of all time?
For all of the reasons that I listed before.
Okay.
It is such my shit. This game was made for me in every way.
I'm going to have to dive into that soon, maybe when I get my big old computer in my hands again, because I started it, and then I was on spring break, and then I realized I couldn't play it because I would have to leave my computer, and so I stopped playing it.
This is how obsessed I've been with the idea of Inscryption that I remember when you played it. I didn't even really know you all that well at that point, but I was like, yo, what's up with Inscryption? How'd you like it? Was it cool? Did you like it? And you're like, dude, I only played it for 20 minutes. Yeah. I'm so happy that it's living up to everything I thought it would be. And I've heard so many people have recommended this game to me, and so many people online recommend this game because it has a bunch of twists and plot twists and ways that they completely change up what the game even is. And I haven't even gotten there yet.
I know a lot of the plot somehow, just because I accidentally learned plots of games, and it gets a little funky, and I think you're gonna like it.
Because they consistently, I don't want to talk about this for too long, because I'm barely into the game. I'll definitely bring it up next week. They consistently add something where I'm like, I could not have even thought, I didn't even think that was a thing that you could have done. It's a card game, but you can stand up from the table and walk around the room.
You just be like, I'm fucking.
You just walk around the room, interact with puzzles and stuff. Then there's items that you can use, and sometimes when you use the items, it'll change something about the world in a way that I didn't even think was possible. So it'll change the way you see the world.
It's very
and I see hints.
Unique and interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I am so in, and this is gonna be my Zelda replacement for the next couple of weeks at least. Hopefully, it's also roguelike, so I'm addicted.
Yeah, roguelites always end up putting so many hours into it.
Yeah.
Dude, game I wish I played last year. Deep Rock Galactic. I already played Deep Rock Galactic, but I wish I played more of it. That's all I had.
And the PS5 version now.
Does that game need a PS5 version?
I don't know.
What is it at?
It looked pretty neat. It had native upscaling and stuff, or not native upscaling, but native resolution upgrades. So it seemed pretty nice.
I would play it on console, but it feels at home on PC.
Fair enough.
I'm just gonna keep playing.
It was a PS Plus drop, which is probably really good for that community. Get people in
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's on Xbox. We should play Deep Rock Galactic.
I'll play Deep Rock Galactic. We'll play it on stream. You should join me.
You'll see me turn into a control freak manager. I'm gonna be like, get the fucking the nitro.
I have no idea what that game's about.
Oh,
Or maybe one day. But that is so far away. But what we're doing right now is we're gonna do our deep dive into video game press conferences.
Yep.
So, where do you want to start this? Do you want to talk about press conferences of the past, or do you want to talk a little bit about the Summer Game Fest of yesterday?
I think we should just jump into maybe what we saw yesterday, fresh off the dome.
Yeah, sure.
I think it probably might be something that people want to hear about.
Yeah.
Because I thought the fact that this is kind of our replacement for E3, and that E3 is, as of this year, no more, kind of like, oh no.
I mean, I'm on the opposite end of that. And I think it's very divisive right now between people who play games and people who follow the industry and stuff. Some people are all on board for Summer Game Fest, and some people are ride and die E3 style, the way they were doing it.
Yeah, I'm not a big defender of E3 because I had to stop watching E3 because I had I was watching these presentations for a week, 2 weeks, and every day I would just have to sit. I didn't have to, but me and my friends would sit and watch these presentations, and I would deflate and I would just sit there because they would be like, we're going to show you more like Traders of Glubin's gameplay for 30 minutes sneak peek. I was like, this is not a sneak peek. This is a premiere showing. And I would just sit there like my eyes fading in and out. But the fact that it would just go like a staple, you know? It was like something that I've become so accustomed to and so familiar with. So the fact that it's gone, it's like, oh, it's just sad. Like I don't really care about it.
Yeah.
Like that. But I'm like, oh no.
See, I don't know what it is. I'm in love with video game press conferences, which is why I was very excited to do this topic. I've always, like, me and my friends would always sit down on Xbox Live party chat to watch E3, and like we'd live react to it and everything. And I love analyzing, like, oh, they could have done this differently, they could have done this differently. And when Jeff Keighley, who's like the Game Awards guy, started Summer Game Fest in 2020, I was fully in his corner. Because what he showed to me was an idea of taking what was once 3 days of a bunch of press conferences and shoving them into one awesome conference. And I said, how can that be bad?
Was E3 only 3 days?
It used to be like one weekend.
Okay. The recent E3s felt like they were my life.
Recent E3s have been... Okay. I professionally covered E3 in 2020. Do you know how many press conferences I watched?
Oh, I'm gonna guess. Well, this is gonna be embarrassing if I highball it. 40.
37. You're almost there, and it was abysmal.
Yeah.
Why does Ubisoft have to have their own thing every year? But more importantly, why does Koch Media have to have their own thing? Do you even know who that is? No one knows who that is. Why did you have your own thing?
Is there a game that you can name that?
Homeworld 3.
Never mind.
Why the PC gaming show is neat-ish, but those games could be shown somewhere else. Why does VR need its own showcase? Just put it all in one place.
Well, okay, everyone, it's probably oversaturated. It's probably the issue they probably got a little oversaturated because everyone went to E3 and they were like, Nintendo, Bethesda, Xbox, Sony, and then, PC Game Show would just be like two guys in the back going, yeah.
That's fine. You don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You can have your own day in the spotlight if you just do it another time. It doesn't all have to be like, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but we're going to get into that a bit later, and I'm ranting.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was your favorite thing that you saw at Summer Game Fest 2023, and what was your least favorite thing that you saw?
Oh, shit. I didn't think about that because I honestly didn't necessarily care too greatly about the games that I saw at Summer Games Fest this year. Not to say that it was a bad presentation in any way. It's just that these games I already kind of like knew about, or I just wasn't personally interested in. So I just liked how it was just kind of interesting stuff, even though I wasn't really interested in it personally. I was happy to just sit down and just watch just inoffensive material. I'll be like, oh,
right,
that's a cute game.
That's kind of how I feel about it too, because you look at the last 2 years of Summer Game Fest, and there's a lot of free-to-play mobile game, a lot of online Chinese MMO, a lot of Raid Shadow Legends. I'm like, why are you doing this?
There was very every presentation I feel like there's a moment where I go, oh my god, and this one I just didn't really get that, and
it was like
it's a nice change of pace.
I got the vibe that even if I was incredibly bored by something that was on the screen, except the ads, but the ads have to be there to pay the bills because they rent out a giant hall and have crazy lights and all that. So I understand the ads.
Yeah.
Besides the ads,
or Nicolas Cage talking.
Nick Cage, oh my god. The even when I saw the worst things I saw there, I was like, I could imagine that there's actually people interested in this. It's not like no one cares. Someone is really into this.
I was a little concerned at the beginning. I showed up, so I wasn't gonna watch it. And then I was like, I'm not going to watch it. And I started watching it when Nick Cage was talking. And I was like, okay, wait, let me watch the beginning. And then I'll, if I don't like any of it, I'll skip through and see it with Nick Cage. But I was like, all right. It was like Prince of Persia, Mortal Kombat 1. And I was like, okay, and I watched that. Oh, here's Nick Cage talking, and let me go to what is happening live. He was still talking.
Yeah.
So I was a little scared because MK1 didn't really quote unquote get me horny. So, and then I saw Nick Cage talking for so long, I was like, oh no. But they rounded it out and it was very pleasant.
I really liked MK1 actually. When I first watched it, I'm gonna pick this as my highlight of the show. even though I don't know if it was.
Yeah, you're gonna have to list me some games that were revealed. Honestly,
That's fine. We don't need. I just was trying to like get a conversation going about what we actually saw because there were so many things and we didn't like really take notes or anything.
Yeah,
we're not covering it. We're doing a separate thing.
We are spectating.
We're doing a deep dive. Yeah. I actually really liked what they showed from MK1 because I liked a lot of MK11, but I didn't love specific things about it that kind of ruined the whole thing for me. One of those things being the defense meter burn. Or the escape meter burn and all that, and then the variations. I never liked the variations in MKX, and I still didn't like them in 11. Mm-hmm. And it looks like from everything that we're seeing, it looks like variations might be gone, and instead characters just have a million moves.
That would be preferable.
And I don't know if you caught it. It's back to the 3-bar meter from MK, like all the other MK games, and it looks like, with addition of these cameo fighters, which is actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I'm actually pretty stoked for that as like a combo extender or a combo breaker, and a replacement for Fatal Blow and all that. You can do that through the cameo fighters, just like flavor.
Is that what they're called? Cameo fighters?
Cameo fighters, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're like assist trophies, basically. And you can do 4 inputs to do a different move with them while you have them out, and then you can do fatalities with them, you can do Fatal Blows with them, stuff like that.
That's cute. My concern with that. Have you played a lot of the towers in Mortal Kombat 11?
I've played more towers than I would like to admit.
Okay, so you're aware that these cameo fighters existed in Mortal Kombat 11, right?
I am, and I was worried about it.
Right.
When they announced the cameo fighters, I was like, oh, it's just going to be the things that you get in the towers. Mm-hmm. But they look a lot more substantial.
They do.
And they look a lot more well-planned. I feel like in MK11, the assists that you would call in, like you call in, I don't even remember what any of them, we call in Baraka to stab someone.
Yeah.
And it was, no, you would call in someone and they would basically just, it would be one move. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is a projectile. This is a stun.
Yeah.
This is a grab.
Yeah.
That's true. This is like, you can have multiple moves for the situation that you're in, but almost all of them that I saw were combo extenders.
Right.
Which was crazy. Even the projectile ones, they found a way to keep them combo extenders. And a lot of the specials that the character was doing, like the one that I caught was that Scorpion did his, I forget what it was called in MK11, but it has a spinning blade.
Oh yeah.
Which in kunai. MK11, I believe was a like smashdown move, mm-hmm. but if you meter burned it, you could continue into a combo. Now it just continues by itself. Oh. And it looked like a lot of the moves they were doing weren't ending the combo string, and that those were reserved more for like the big heavy hitting moves, which is how a really fast and frenetic fighting game should be. And I know we're talking about the game and not the showcase. That's fine. I think the fact that they went all in showing all of this and then brought Ed Boon out on the stage to talk about it and explain these things to the crowd is the way to do it.
Yeah. See, This is where we are gonna split, mm-hmm. And not that we're gonna disagree, but this is where our expertise is gonna split. Because something I realized yesterday, we were talking about it, and I thought about it. And I was like, oh man, I always find it difficult to have these types of conversations on like the presentations themselves, because I don't really care that much about like the strings above video games, who's making them, and the presentations and the events behind them.
Damn, you picked a bad week to start a video game podcast.
We did. We did. Well, it's not that I don't care, but I just care more about the game. When something like this happens, I'm laser focused on the game, and I find it very difficult to not put stock into. I'm kind of having difficulty wording this, but it's just everything else kind of takes a back seat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and that's something I realized yesterday. I was like, oh, I wonder how this conversation is gonna play out.
And I think that's fine because I put a lot of thought into like, especially because, so I don't know if we've brought this up before, but like we're communications students. We're like, we have degrees. We're actual professionals in this field that they're doing. They're marketing and advertising. That's us. And ever since I started learning all that stuff, I've been like, if they just rearranged a couple of these trailers and changed the wording a little bit, this showcase actually probably could have gotten really good press. It could have gotten a lot of gamers excited. It could have probably pushed a lot more sales. And I'm wondering, why did they make the decisions they made?
That's what I do, but with like the content of mm-hmm. the game itself, rather than the advertising, the marketing and stuff.
Yeah. So I think we bring a unique perspective to that, and I'll bring it more from that side. And you can bring it more from mm-hmm. the game side and everything. So I think that's perfectly fine. What was something that you remember that you were just like, why is this here?
I was trying to go through our text conversation because we were texting about it yesterday. I was trying to find. I feel like there was something that I was like, oh, this is like cool or something, but I can't find anything. So I'll talk. Oh, Liza P. I thought that was interesting, but I can think of many moments where I was like, "What the fuck?" One of them being what was it? Jeff Keighley? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley going, "The rumors are true," and I was like, "Oh shit, Persona 3." Oh. what were the rumors? Okay. And then we already spoke about this yesterday, but that was like kind of nuts. To me, it's just strange wording. The trailer was pretty sick for Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, dude.
And then just small things, Will Arnett.
Oh God.
Twisted Metal.
Dude, we have to review that show. I have to watch that show so bad. It's in my brain. I need to watch it. I need to watch it.
Like the worst thing in the world.
Yes, it does.
You really think so?
It was Samoa Joe walking and Will Arnett talking. Yes, it looks like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and I love it.
Yeah.
They sang the thong song.
Oh, that's where it lost me. I was like, oh man, he's fucking Sweet Tooth is gonna kill this guy. Like, oh, this is kind of scary. And then they started doing that. I was like, I'm like, all right.
I'll say the one thing I don't really understand why it was there was Sandland, which is that Akira Toriyama game. Because okay, it actually looks pretty cool. Not for me. That's fine. I know people who like Dragon Quest are probably going to try it out. People who like Toriyama are probably going to try it out. It's a manga that already has an established fan base. Cool. That trailer was not marketed towards that fan base. That trailer was like, look at this cool new game. We got licensed music. We got cool flashy action. It's Borderlands.
Yeah, that trailer kind of put me off a little bit because there was no game audio. It was just the song. Mm-hmm. And that always kind of puts me off a little bit because when a reveal trailer has shockingly low production value, I'm like thinking, this is like their foot forward. To be like, hey world, look at me, and
you only make one first impression.
Yeah, you make one first impression, and you kind of like do this,
or two if you're No Man's Sky. But
it was just strange, and I think I texted you. I think that was what I texted you. There was a lot of moments in this presentation where I went, and I think that was one of them where I went, it's Dragon Quest 12. We're gonna hear about Dragon Quest 12. It wasn't, and crazy. I texted you. I went, oh my god, this. Never mind.
All right, last thing about SGF. I cannot believe that they actually pulled this off like 1 week after the PlayStation Showcase. That was such a letdown.
Oh yeah,
and
you were upset.
I was upset because PlayStation Showcases used to be really cool, and they were the best of the best. In fact, I'm probably going to talk about one later in our breakdown because they had the bangers.
I will be talking about one as well.
They had the pacing, they had the games, they had the developers, and they didn't overstay their welcome. It was awesome. And this one had multiplayer games, and that's it. And no release date for Spider-Man, and no Final Fantasy VII because Jeff had them. That's actually crazy though.
We did get what the fuck?
I would love to see an interview or something where they talk about how that went down because that is nuts.
Sony should have been the one and be like, we'll pay you $1 million. Well, realistically, they probably have to pay Sony to be in the presentation, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I can't. That's just so strange.
Right. All right. So let's start our deep dive into video game showcases as a whole.
Right.
So I was thinking of starting this by talking about E3 itself because it is basically where this all started, right? Mm-hmm. So I made some notes about it. How much do you know about how E3 came to be?
How much do I know about it?
Yeah.
0.
Okay. So let me tell you a little story. So obviously I wasn't even born yet. So I can't pretend like I'm an expert on all this. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. E3 basically came about because video game developers used to show off all their new tech and a bunch of new games at CES, the biannual press conference where they show all the like new TVs, new computers, like proof of concept stuff. That's basically where video games were there for their trade shows, and they would talk to other developers, would talk to each other. The press would come in and play new games so they could write about it. EGM was there reporting stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the big thing was they wanted investors. They were there because people with big wallets would come and say, oh, there's a Crash Bandicoot. That looks cool. Look, here's $1 million. Actually, Crash probably wasn't around back then. No. There's Qbert. But one year, CES, there's a bug in this studio, and it's driving me nuts. We were not going to pretend I'm in a bedroom. They shoved all the video game developers to the back of the conference, behind the porn. And then it rained, and they were outside. and it rained so hard that one of the first prototype Sega Genesises got fried. And so Sega was like, I'm never coming here again.
Wow.
And it was around that...
Sega was a big player at that time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They were. It was the Genesis. That's their one. This flies driving me nuts. And around that time was when the ESRB was coming to be, and the ESA, like the government was starting to regulate video games. So there was actually like organization around gaming. It wasn't just the Wild West, in America at least. And so they set up E3 as a place to get all these game developers out of CES because it was kind of toxic for them, and put them in their own place where investors can come just for that, the press can come just for that, and it was kind of their own little safe haven.
Right.
Then it kind of just grew from there. So the little timeline that I have is like in the 2000s, the main point of E3 was basically to get investors and then to get journalists excited about it so that they could write about it and then get a lot of media written about their games. But then by the 2010s, when like Spike TV started picking it up and G4 was around and they would put it on, fans could watch these press conferences directly, and the press conferences became less about getting money and more about getting attention. And that's kind of what led to what we know as the showcase today, because now when these companies were making the showcases, they weren't just planning them for investors and for press, they were planning them for directly to their consumers as well. So it had to be exciting, it had to be cool, it had to be easy to understand, and most importantly, it had to have a lot of games.
Yeah.
Because you're going to ask someone to go out of their way to watch commercials. That's a hard sell. So they had to do something to get people excited. And I think they did. Because the 2010s E3s are some of the most memorable ones for me. Especially in the late 2010s. And then by the 2020s, the COVID kind of messed this all up. But every single company decided that... missing piece of the puzzle here is that at some point Nintendo decided they were going to fuck off and start doing Nintendo Directs. Mm-hmm. Which meant they can control the messaging and they could do it whenever they want. So whenever COVID came around and people couldn't go to E3 in person, every company in the world said, we have a Nintendo Direct now.
Smart decision.
Was it? Was it?
It was smart for Nintendo.
It was smart for Nintendo.
Because holy shit, Nintendo Directs are still kind of an event.
When was the first Nintendo Direct? 2011? 2012?
It's probably...
It was pre-Wii U. I know that. So it was at least 2013.
What could they have even been talking about?
It was always...
We have Majora's Mask on the Virtual Console.
I think because I remember watching one in 2013 on my Wii. It was like on the Wii video channel. I watched Iwata talk to me about Miiverse or something. Talk to me. It was Nintendo Direct to me. Hello.
Please understand.
So that's kind of how we got to where we are. It's the idea spawned from the fact that we wanted to go to investors and press, and by the end of it, it was mainly about how do we package a bunch of commercials together and get people excited about it. Yeah. And that's where we are today. And I would say that even though they are commercials, I get very excited about them.
They are, yeah, because they're adult commercials. These are adult toys. Crash Bandicoot 5? Oh my god!
Oh, dude, I would be happy for that. Did you play Crash 4?
I didn't, but I played Crash 1 to 3, and I'm very excited for Crash 4 because I own it.
Crash 4 is pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard.
So what do you think about showcases? I know we kind of already touched on this, but like, what's off the top of your dome, knowing what we know about them, especially like pulling on some of that knowledge that we learn in our classes and everything. Like, what's the point of these things? And do they still have a place, or are they pretty much pointless now?
So I have a love-hate relationship with them, and it's more than likely purely dependent on the games they announce and the amount of effort and lengths they go to hide the games that are being announced. Because when these things were first happening, I first got invested in them. I love them. I was like, oh, these are like new event. And then I got a little jaded. And I started to hate them. I had to stop watching them. And then because I'm a little fucked up, I would get excited and then anxious at the same time because my body can't tell the difference anymore. So I had to stop watching them because I was like miserable. I just suddenly got miserable and jaded, and it was just a terrible experience. And now I'm kind of watching them again, and I'm like, all right, these ain't too bad, but I'm a little suspicious. But it goes back and forth. You're not going to be able to get a solid answer on my true opinion on these press conferences because I don't even know how I feel about them sometimes. Okay,
and better question then. How do you think that specifically E3 press conferences from the 2010s compare to the Nintendo Directs and Ubisoft Directs and Summer Game Fests of 2023?
Ooh, okay. I think they were a very important part of gaming history. I feel like there was so many announcements and moments and reveals that happened during E3 that it really felt like when E3 happened, it felt like, oh, this is like the timeline for the rest of the year. I'm very excited. And I feel like anyone can name a couple of great E3 moments or games that have been revealed at E3 that had fantastic reveals and information regarding them. Not a huge fan of that trend into 2010s where a game would be revealed and then they would fuck off for 6 years. Did Good and Evil 2 come out?
Okay, Do you actually know why they did that?
No.
Ubisoft was under threat of getting bought out in a hostile takeover from a different company. And it was something with their contract where the shareholders were like, we're going to sell unless you actually make some games. So they just announced like 7 games that they didn't even really start working on yet. And then they started working on them. They didn't even start working on them by the time they announced some of them.
Well,
Skull and Bones, it's coming out this year.
Is it? Well, I mean, okay, I use that's a special example, but I feel like I can name a couple of games. Square Enix. Well, I was gonna say Final Fantasy 15, but that is way before all that shit.
What is it? Final Fantasy 13 versus 13,
which I don't even know what it was originally intended to be. I always get confused with that story, but I feel like there was a big trend in the 2010s where they would reveal games and we wouldn't hear about them for years, and they would finally come out, and by that time it'd be like a little like wet fart. But now games are coming out in the 2020s, and they're like giant game that you can expect to wait 2 years for, and they go out next week.
Yeah. You know what I really think changed that was Fallout 4. That's the first time I remember a game being announced at E3 and then coming out that fall.
It did come out really fast, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think they saw the success that had, and ever since then, companies kind of got the hint. Mm-hmm. Especially with Final Fantasy 15, which I know you were like kind of brushing it off. Final Fantasy 15's marketing cycle made Square a laughing stock.
Yeah.
They announced the release date for that game and then 2 weeks later delayed it.
That should have been their baby, dude. That should have been their baby. They worked on that game more than I think every other Final Fantasy game ever. Yeah. And I think most of them combined. It's not all of them.
So like that partnered with things like The Last of Us 2 being announced at PSX in 2016 and then not coming out till 2020. And basically seeing nothing about it until that one E3 where we got the weird dude playing the flute.
Yeah, and now we're getting... Factions is coming out. Oh, Never mind! 2 years later.
So I think... What I would say about that is I think some games can get away with it. And it's actually kind of nice when we have a couple. Mm-hmm. I like to call them unicorn games, which I heard somewhere online. I don't even remember where. But like Death Stranding. They announced Death Stranding, and then for years, we don't even know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
We have no idea what that thing is, but everyone's like, oh, do you think we're going to see Death Stranding at E3 this year? Maybe.
I think, okay, because I think, you're right, because I think that's an original property. There's a lot of mystery. We don't know what it's going to be. But when you do a sequel, it's like, yeah, the 15th sequel and the Final Fantasy games are coming. We kind of know what to expect. We just show me the fucking game. Like, everyone kind of gets the gist. Unless you're going to do something crazy. That's Stranding. No one knows what to expect. So they're sitting on the edge of their seat. But I feel like if, we're going to... Mario 3D World 5. You're like, oh, show me the game. You don't have to keep, like sneak peeking me for 3 years. What was that game recently? Where it felt like every single press conference, we got a new sneak peek of it.
Deathloop?
Oh no, Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom. No. I felt like every Nintendo Direct, we were like...
Oh, you mean we thought we were going to get one?
We thought we were going to get one every single Nintendo Direct. And we were like, ooh. And then there was like, we got the original trailer years ago. And then we got like another trailer, I think, a year later. And we were just like... It was just... water droplets coming from the walls. We were so desperate for it.
Nintendo Direct. It's Zelda time.
Yeah, Zelda time. Like, that's different because we were excited for that. But if any other company did that, I feel like we would have been like, oh my fucking god, show me the game.
Then there's the opposite side of that, which is Deathloop, which I think we saw that game at like 7 press conferences over the years of its marketing cycle, and that was crazy.
Really?
I saw Deathloop the first time. I was sold. I didn't need to see any more.
I didn't either.
And then I saw it so much that it actually unsold me on it.
Really?
I was like, they're trying so hard for this, and every time they show it, it's the same thing. I don't know. Like, maybe something's wrong with the game, and maybe it's like not good, and they're just trying to make it look cool. Because because he just keeps showing it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That we're probably going to talk about this later. But my favorite presentation moment is probably the Deathloop reveal, and I didn't see anything about it after that, so it kind of stayed pretty like good in my mind. It is probably because I think there's a lot of like, what would the word be? Dissonance between the people who are making the game and then the marketing people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm sure that I wouldn't be surprised if somebody on the creative team of Deathloop was like, Stop!
I'm sure they were, and I'm asking, why did the marketing team make that decision? Because there was a month where I saw Deathloop at PlayStation, I saw Deathloop at Summer Game Fest, I saw Deathloop at the Future Gaming Show or something like that, and then I saw a trailer for Deathloop come out on Twitter on my timeline. That was a different one from all those ones. I'm like,
and then you go to YouTube, you press a video, it's Deathloop, and go,
Yeah, like it was crazy. But that's kind of a special case. But I think what we're building to here is that there's two different things here. And I think video game trailers, we could do a whole episode on.
Oh,
that's kind of its own thing. And that's the people who make the trailers and the people who organize the showcases are two completely different teams for the most part. Especially because you, like we said earlier, you only get to make one first impression. So the people who are making these trailers, they're trying their best to do their thing the way they want to do it, to sell their game in the way they think will be the most effective. Whether they're right or wrong, doesn't matter. What matters is that the people who organize the showcase probably don't understand that specific message that they're trying to get across.
Yeah.
And so when you make that trailer, that killer trailer, send it off to, I don't know, Jeff Keighley. You send it off to the Sony marketing team for the press conference planning team or whatever, and you just have to hope that they don't mess it up.
Because you get some random guy coming out to announce the thing and they mispronounce the name of the game.
Yeah, right? Like, okay, think about this. At the PlayStation showcase that we just saw, the only thing that I can remember from it is Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. What if the Prince of Persia game that we saw at Summer Game Fest yesterday, I think looked really cool. I really do. I think it looked really cool. It's a throwback to like the older Prince of Persia. It's not 3D though, so it's like a new thing as well. Which I think there are 2D Prince of Persia games. I just never really played one.
Yeah, the really old ones,
yeah.
Right?
So it's a throwback to that. It has a really cool art style. The kit looks crazy. It's the Rayman Legends team. That game is really cool. Mm-hmm. If they played that specific trailer right after MGS3 Remake, no one would remember that game exists.
Yeah, placement is very important.
Yes, so the way I like to look at these things is pacing. Because there's a lot of things that can go wrong with pacing. You can bury games like that, or you can do what Jeff Keighley usually does, and you can have something really cool in the front, something really cool in the end, and then the middle is so boring that by the time you get to the end of the showcase, you don't even remember anything because you were completely zoned out.
Damn, I kind of don't remember much.
Yeah, right?
That's probably why.
Yeah, well, I would argue this year he actually solved that problem. Because it seemed like we would have a big announcement, then a couple decently, cool announcement that like indie games that they genuinely look cool, but they might be new IP or they're from a smaller team.
Yeah.
Then a really cool announcement, and they would kind of break those up. The only time I think is like right in the middle there, it did drag a little bit, and that every show is going to have a moment where it drags a little bit.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
So, I think pacing makes and breaks these things. Like I'm looking at most Nintendo Directs we've ever seen. If they had just reorganized their games, every single one of them could have been a banger. Every single one of them. Remember that one Nintendo Direct where it was all farming games?
Yeah.
If we had blocked them all together and it gave them a strict time limit, said each farming game gets 45 seconds and then 15 seconds of developer, and we just played that all at once for 10 minutes in the middle, bookended by whatever big announcements were at that Direct, no one would have cared.
Yeah, at that point, I feel like you could just kind of, dig into it, be like, this is the farming hour.
Right. And that's what I appreciate about the big companies like Sony. What they do with their press conferences, usually, is they'll say, here's Call of Duty. Now we're talking about multiplayer games. Or here's The Last of Us. Now we're going to talk about a couple smaller things. And then we're going to end with another Last of Us level announcement. They can bookend these things and like break them up in a certain way. But when you get to the Summer Game Fest or even the E3s, sometimes it gets a little tough.
Right.
And I don't know. I think they need to get people in on these things that are from the communities.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think so many of these people, because if you really think about it, I can't even imagine the amount of people who are working together to make sure this works. So I'm not surprised that it goes off the rails so easily.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and obviously I'm literally an amateur talking on my ass when I say this. I'm literally saying they should have someone go in there. I don't know what they're doing. The people who are there probably try very hard to get the best showcase they can, but it just leaves me with so many questions.
It does.
And what I think... sorry, I've been talking for a while.
That's fine. This is a podcast. That's what it is.
I know, but I haven't given you a chance to podcast. So, besides pacing, what do you think is the most important thing to a showcase?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I was going to butt in anyway. I think pacing is obviously very important, but it's not something I thought about. But there was a point in time. Where for a while, I already said this. I didn't like these presentations anymore. I was so jaded.
Yeah.
I thought the reveals and the build-up was too much for these like just lukewarm, lackluster games. And I just thought to myself, I was like, I would watch these more, and I feel like these would have such a better reception if these were already pre-announced and these presentations were just more information and development on these reveals. Like there was a legitimate point in time where I was like, I wish I saw the reveal for, I don't know, what's like a big game that got revealed.
When they originally announced FF7 Remake.
Yeah, there was a point in time where something like FF7 Remake, I would have been like, damn, I kind of just wish they just posted that on their Twitter, and then the press conference was them just talking about it and giving us tangible information. Because I feel like there's so much pressure and build-up to these reveals that so many of them just fall flat. And I think a lot of companies are getting that because I feel like there was a trend kind of around the Smash Ultimate point in time where every game had to have a huge reveal where everyone had to be like, oh, shit, this game's coming out! And it was just like, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing. I was like, damn, that was such bombastic, and they've tried to make me feel so hard for this game, and I just don't care.
Mm-hmm. Do you still feel that way?
No, I think it is. I go back and forth because a weird part of me would enjoy just to be like, oh, for this presentation's gonna have no new reveals and just information about this game that I already know exists. That sounds awesome. And then there's a moment like Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake where I'm like, oh, and then I get it again, you know?
Yeah, because I was gonna say I cannot disagree with you more.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're making these things, and this isn't like calling you out that you're wrong or anything. I'm just kind of showing like their perspective on it. Is that when you make these trailers and make all these things, you have to take an appeal, right?
Yeah.
You know, so like you have to find your target audience, see what kind of thing you think they would like, to do some testing, and then see what type of appeal would go to them. So you can do like play to their emotions, you can play to nostalgia, you can make it a comedic trailer, which normally don't go very well. You can make it scary, you can end your trailer with a jump scare or something. And no matter what kind of appeal you pick, you know, the Last of Us, you can make one for like dads. You make a dad trailer and be like, you're a dad, play this game because it's not dads, stuff like that. The only one I can think of that is completely universal that would appeal to everyone is surprise. The surprise appeal. The surprise appeal. Because no matter, even if you don't want to be surprised, if something comes up, if a logo comes up on screen and it's something that you're excited for, your body wants to be elevated. It feels a rush, and it makes it memorable. Yes. That's the only universal one. Now, is that a problem? Probably.
I think it's only a problem to people like me, which is realistically a very small majority of the people they're actually appealing to. So really, is this a problem for them, and should they stop? Probably not. But
I don't know. I think there's an argument to be made that not every trailer needs to be a surprise.
No, I don't think so.
It is universal. However, if you need your trailer to be universal, perhaps it shouldn't be at this showcase. Mm-hmm. If you would be more effective at doing a scary trailer, maybe you should just upload it to your YouTube channel. I know it doesn't get as many eyeballs. I understand there's an argument to be made. Maybe make 2 trailers and have one come out beforehand that announces the game to your very like passionate audience, and then have a second one that kind of re-reveals it to the general audience or something like that.
Okay, you know what? Yeah. My thing is that like I feel like the surprise reveal doesn't... I feel like people who are watching these religiously, they'll just get used to it. You ever watch... this is gonna be a really weird analogy. When I was a freshman, I watched Impractical Jokers. I binged Impractical Jokers, and by the 4th episode of my viewing session, I stopped laughing because it was baseline to me. I got used to it. I got used to like the cringe and the funny, and I was just nothing. And that's what I feel like could happen to some people. And I needed to like stop watching for like a week and then come back, and I was like, oh, this is funny again. And I feel like that could happen to people like me, but I feel like no one's going to be doing that. But I do think what you said, it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. It's just so difficult.
No, and like I'm saying, I think we're both right.
Yeah.
Because like this Summer Game Fest, we knew Mortal Kombat 1 was going to be there. Mm-hmm. We knew... I'm trying to think of what else we knew there was going to be there. Because he announced a bunch of stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, oh shit. I forgot to mention this. I want to say this. Like the Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, I already knew Dragon's Dogma 2 was happening. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because I was like prepped for it. I wasn't like, oh, it's Dragon Dogma 2. You know, I don't know. I feel like sometimes my emotions get too high.
Yeah.
So it's nice for my emotions to be on like a 75% where I'm like, oh!
I can see the argument for announcing something that's going to be there if people are worried about the showcase. So maybe announcing Mortal Kombat 1 was Summer Game Fest a way of being like, listen, we got the games.
Yeah,
we have games. Jeff has games.
Right,
so
Jeff has games.
Maybe that's what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a more of a trend in the way of we won't have this. Because Nintendo's been doing that pretty well lately.
Yeah.
Where they're like, there will be no Smash here. There will be no Zelda here.
Mm-hmm. And because that's what really
Farming.
killed... That's
No
what
Zelda.
killed a lot of their... not killed, but...
Oh, I mean, deflated.
It
certainly.
deflated a lot of their presentations, their Nintendo Directs, because the entire... take it as you will. Should you take a lot of stock into... well, you should if you're... Nintendo, because that's your audience, but when your entire comment section of your live chat stream is, where the fuck is Smash? Oh, who the fuck? Byleth? What the fuck? That can do some damage.
Like, I really like what they've been doing. Like, when they announced the ARMS character for Smash, they knew no one was gonna like an ARMS character, so that... I like the ARMS character.
Yeah.
I would have been... If we didn't know there was going to be an ARMS character and that trailer played, I would have been excited, but I understand that a lot of people would not have been.
That was not a character that everyone was on the edge of their seat for.
Right, so the fact that they came out and was like, just so you know, the next character is from ARMS, so for the next 2 months, just shut the fuck up about Dante, okay?
Oh, I don't even... It's a good thing you didn't put least favorite moment from a presentation, because that's my least favorite moment. I think about that to this day, and that's not entirely Nintendo's fault, because a part of me is like, oh, the Devil May Cry dev definitely could have done that just as like a little, let's fuck around. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for the people at home, do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. Why don't you give us a little cliff notes?
The day before they were going to announce a new Smash character, the Devil May Cry developer announced that there was going to be some type of reveal or new information regarding Dante and Devil May Cry or something like that, and I just finished playing all the Devil May Cry games, so I was like super into it. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe Dante could be in Smash. And then the next day it was Fire Emblem Byleth, and I was like, oh my god, I was Walter White meme of, the one where he's like, and then he falls over. Yeah. I was so upset. I posted a 4-part story complaining about it on my Snapchat. I was that upset about it. I was so butthurt.
Ooh, podcast idea. We should do this, but for Smash. Because that's kind of its own thing, really.
Smash.
The Smash hype cycle is kind of its own thing that I would love to talk more about.
Smash.
But yeah,
is a phenomenon.
I would love to see more marketing and PR people from these companies lean more in the way of, we won't have something here rather than we will have something here. Yeah. But maybe that's a personal opinion. We'll see how things shake out.
Expectation management, I think, is very important.
Yeah, just in general. Like last thing I'll say about Summer Game Fest specifically, we knew Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was going to be there. Yeah. Because they had been tweeting 7 times leading up to it.
Yeah, well, it's coming.
Why did they do that?
This game is going to have characters.
They never said that it was going to be at Summer Game Fest in those posts. People who assume it was going to be there were the ones who were already going to be watching it.
Well, because the Final Fantasy, we'll probably talk about this at another podcast, but the Final Fantasy, I don't know what the fuck is going on in Square Enix.
They
it
march
feels
to
like
the beat of their own drum.
What?
Square Enix, usually.
Oh, yeah.
For marketing.
I just... But, like, I don't know. I know that, like, Final Fantasy should be one series with some spin-offs, but it's like the main series feels like a spin-off sometimes, and then there's the remakes, and then they're all doing completely different things marketing-wise and gameplay-wise and artistically. I'm like, who the fuck? What is happening?
Again with the pacing. At the show yesterday, why did we not have Ever Crisis right next to Rebirth, right next to Final Fantasy 16 demo? That was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Slam
you're
dunk.
Right, because Ever Crisis came out, and I told you about these yesterday, but for people who want to go and watch Summer Games Fest and go back to this moment, they revealed Ever Crisis, and the first thing they revealed was this really beautiful looking CG, this cutscene of Sephiroth, and everyone in the audience went, "Whoa!" And then it showed the gameplay, which is much less appealing in visual quality. And I heard a guy in the audience go, "Oh!" He was very upset.
Okay.
But then it got pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been running a little long on this one, so what do you say we transition into some of our best showcase moments?
I would love that.
Okay, so we also have some from the audience coming up. I forgot to mention that at the top of the show, but we got a decent number of submissions, so thank you for that. Why don't you tell me, what is you already kind of hinted at it, what's your favorite reveal from any of Showcase?
So my favorite reveal from any Showcase has to be Deathloop. I love unique trailers. I love stylish, attention-grabbing, unique trailers. I didn't mention this. It was in my notes from earlier. I think a killer of these presentations and just any reveal in general is just a generic presentation where just there's action and then there's kind of characters talking. It's like, rising up it's the formula. It's the trailer formula. You could see it in movies. You can see it in gameplay trailers. You can even see it in TV trailers. And it is a formula, and it sucks the life out of me. I can't stand it.
You got a little New York there.
What?
It's about the trailers.
It's about the trailers. Yeah, I got my New York. My New York comes out when I'm upset about video game trailers. It makes me a little sad. A game could look really good. A game could look really good and really appealing and look for me, and I'll still be like, oh, man, like I just don't like it. But Deathloop comes out, and it's just unlike anything I've ever seen. It's the music is pumping. It's this guy talking, and it's not just like out of context clips of these characters talking and being like, "You need to save the world." It's like, I can't believe, Yeah. And then like the mysterious line that's gonna come back when you play the game. But it's like this guy talking, explaining to you exactly what's going on. The art and everything, the gameplay looked interesting. These all those transitions of him like fucking dying, and then him running through the big like spiral. I loved it.
Whoever did the gameplay capture for that trailer needs to be awarded like a $1 million raise, because there's that scene where he like is flying through and lifting things with telekinesis and slamming them out the window and then shooting people in the head. It was crazy.
I really think the people who did that trailer had genuine passion and a vision and knew what they wanted to show to people, and it was an amazing reveal for a video game. I still go back and I watch that trailer because I'm just like, that was so good. And even when they do like the generic
doo-doo.
Even when they do have like the generic stuff of the trailers, like the stinger line and then like the thing at the very end, it was still interesting. I like, what is he? He goes like, "I'm gonna stop this fucking loop." And then he goes, it's the girl at the end, and she says something really interesting. She goes,
was it like you?
I don't like watching you die. I like killing you. There's a difference. And that's how they end the trailer. And even that, like, which is done, that's a formulaic thing in every other trailer. I was still like, what the fuck? This is awesome. And I can't think of many other reveals that got me so, like, pumped and be like, I want to see more of this. Except for the leaked Persona 3 trailer, which we'll talk about soon. But that's my favorite
Deathloop moment. Trailer is one of my favorites as well. And so you haven't played any of it yet, right?
No, which I'm ashamed of personally, that I have not played any of it yet. But no, I have not.
So the people who work on that game had to be the ones that plan the trailer and then send it off to PR, and they just made notes.
I think
because
it's clear.
That trailer perfectly expresses what that game is. They kind of ham up a little bit the fast-paced nature. It is an arcade game. It is slow if you want it to be slow, but it shows you everything you can do so perfectly, and it sets the tone.
Yeah, I don't like it when these companies make a really good game and a product they care about, and then somebody decides that they have to send it to like a different marketing team that doesn't really know what's going on. They don't know how to market this, and they don't have like the heart of the game in it, and you're just like, I feel like it's a disservice to people because you're not selling what this game has in store for you, and I think there's going to be people who are not going to get involved and get interested, and they're going to be robbed from an experience that might be one of their favorites. You know?
It is. There's a lot of pressure on that first reveal, though, so I can understand why, if you just miss the mark a little bit, it's kind of off the rails already.
Yeah, it's tough, but if you have the passion, I really feel like passion in what you're doing can take you very, very far.
Well, you got any other things that come off the top of your head of like, I can't believe this happened?
Yeah, I got a couple, and I'll just kind of like list them off because I know you have a very long list of what you're going to talk about, and I want to talk about all these as well. But the recent Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, that blew me away because it was right in the middle of the presentation. We were so bored.
I was asleep.
We were so bored. And even this reveal at first was kind of like boring. I thought it was like a Last of Us. But there's mystery. It was the circle of life of all these animals like killing each other, and then they're going off somewhere else. And I'm like, what is this? This is like some type of blah, blah, blah. And then Snake comes out. I go, ah! I scream as loud as I can. I scare everyone in the room. And suddenly the trailer makes sense. Everything in the trailer that I was like confused about, as soon as I saw Snake, it made sense. And I thought that was an amazing way of doing it and really intriguing and attention grabbing to lull you into this kind of like, oh, I don't know what this is. I love that. And then there's also, were you going to say something on that or no?
No, I was just saying it was a really good reveal. My only problem with it is that it was like the best part of that presentation, and a CG trailer that just shows the main character's face and nothing else should not be the best part of a presentation.
So then it showed up Metal Gear Solid Triangle. And then me and you both go, Triangle! So, that's whatever. I think somebody had a good idea and went along with it.
No, I'm saying that PlayStation fumbled that bag. They should have known, like, oh fuck, they're gonna upshine us. Give this to Jeff. Give this to someone else.
And then, of course, the full Smash Ultimate reveal, not the teaser of this.
Oh, but that was so good.
The Inkling looking on, the Doom flame of the Smash Ball was pretty sick. But the actual full conference and presentation of like the full reveal of Smash, everyone is here. Holy shit! I was so sick the day that happened, and I was watching it, and I was like, it looks so good! Oh, do they have Young Link? Ah! They have Young Link! I just peeked the microphone so bad, but that's what happened. And my mom had to go check on me because she thought I was dying.
I cried real tears.
Really?
I cried real tears, and my friend called me, and I think it was, to this day, I think it was urgent. And I just straight up hang up.
Have you heard from him since?
I have, but no, I talked to him later that day. He was like, man, I forget what he needed. He was like, oh, man, I really needed a ride or something. It's like, so I can't, too bad. It doesn't matter.
Watching Rosalina and Luma.
Now the one, I was going to bring this up later, but I'll bring it up now. The one thing I'll say about that specific presentation, could you imagine not being a Smash fan and watching that Nintendo Direct? And watching 30 minutes.
I probably would have had a panic attack.
Right?
I would have been like, what's happening?
Like, that showcase was great. I loved it because I like Smash. If I didn't like Smash, that might be the worst Nintendo Direct of all time.
Sometimes I think about media that I like, and I think, what would happen if I put my dad in front of this? Would he like it?
No.
Yeah, that's what I think. And sometimes, and this is like a completely arbitrary thing I do, and it doesn't actually impact how I feel about any piece of media that I consume ever, but sometimes it gives some points. If I think about something and I go, my dad would like this, and I go, all right.
All right.
I feel like I can just put anybody in front of it, and if you could put a boomer and a boomer male in front of something, and they go, oh, this looks pretty cool, you might have done something right.
It's perhaps, but I think it's more. It might be tougher to impress a hardcore gamer with a new game than it is to impress their dad.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
All right, so I would like to tell you a story about Sony's E3 2015. So I was, I think I was 2015. I believe that I was on a vacation or I was camping or something, so I had really bad signal. But for some reason, I was like, I gotta watch this one. I didn't watch any of the other ones. I gotta watch this one. And it is, to this day, it is the showcase of dreams. They made, I was gonna say no mistakes. They made very little mistakes.
Is this whole list just one presentation?
It's just one presentation.
Whoa.
And I'm just gonna run through them because we don't have to... Stop me if you really want to talk about one. This isn't even in order. This is just all the stuff they had. Mm-hmm. And the way they paced it out was perfect. Because everything, if there was something that didn't hit as hard, it was bookended by two things that were the craziest things you've ever seen in your goddamn life. Mm. Now, looking back on it, this is where we'll differ. Even at the time, I bet you wouldn't have liked this presentation because these games ended up not being very good.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna ask. What is the percentage of games on here that actually were good and long lasting?
I'd say that half of them ended up living up to the hype and the other half weren't good, but the way they showed them PlayStation did their job.
Right.
Because they made me believe in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. They made me believe in these games that were terrible.
Yeah, they made me watch Destiny Taken King go,
okay.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. So, here's what we had at this presentation. We had Last Guardian, the gameplay reveal for 10 minutes, which is the follow-up to the Shadow of the Colossus. People didn't know that it was going to be divisive yet. People were just like, oh, Shadow of the Colossus, it's more. And then we had the new Hitman franchise. We had Horizon. For the very first time we saw gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn was there. They had Street Fighter V pre-release content, so new character announcements. They announced Dreams there, which was crazy. It was you get to make your own games in the PS4. What the heck? They had Firewatch coming to PS4 and a bunch of like big indies coming to PS4. This is where they announced Final Fantasy VII Remake. We already knew it was coming because Square kind of announced it already.
Right.
But this was the first time we saw it. This is that trailer with, I don't know if you remember it, it was like Midgar, and then it's all like, they will return, and then Cloud steps out with the sword, and then it cuts to the thing and says, Remake.
Oh, that was like the original teaser, right?
Yeah, that was this.
And that was one of those games where it was revealed, and then they fucked off for several years.
Yeah, well, you know.
But game came out, and it was good.
But this is one of those moments where they had a dude on stage, like just a guy, who was like, I cannot believe what I'm about to show you. Like that kind of moment happened with this game. It's like, you are not ready for what you're about to see. And then they put the live stream behind him, and oh my god.
Yeah.
Even then, when I had never played Final Fantasy VII, I knew. I knew. Then they brought the Shenmue 3 was coming back. Shenmue 3. A revival of a franchise like that. No one saw that coming. Maybe not the best thing in the world.
We don't have to talk about that.
They showed Black Ops 3 for the first time, which they always have Call of Duty, but it didn't overstay its welcome. It was well paced. It showed multiplayer and single player. They didn't spend too long on either of the things. This is where they showed a bunch of new stuff for PSVR that wasn't even announced yet. They showed Star Wars Battlefront, the reboot of that. They had No Man's Sky when people still believed in No Man's Sky.
Right.
And this was one of those trailers where they were like, you can go to 16 billion planets and see millions of creatures. And everyone was like, what do you mean? They had Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which was the multiplayer Assassin's Creed. Are you kidding me? Again, not very good. But at the time, crazy.
Yeah, you have Hear Me Out in your notes, and I don't have to hear you out for that because I did see the reveal, I think, when that started coming out, and it did look good before it came out.
Yeah, exactly.
So I agree.
It's all these things where it's like the promise that they were showing us. Maybe they lied.
Yeah.
Maybe they lied.
That's not Sony's fault at that point.
That's not Sony's fault. What I'm saying is that Sony had all of these things at the perfect time in the same place. And then you can leave it up to your decision whether you want to play the game or not, and then get let down by it. But the showcase itself, this is the best showcase of all time. So we had Ratchet and Clank remake coming out. We had Destiny Taken King, which you said you don't remember, is the one that made people go, oh, Destiny is actually good.
Really?
People liked Destiny when it came out.
Oh, you're right.
Taken King was the one where they had the Led Zeppelin in the trailer, and then everyone was like, "The Destiny!"
Is it that one Led Zeppelin song?
Yes, Immigrant song.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome.
But this was one of the first times I remember of a game actually using that song. This was the beginning.
Well, and then what was it? Thor Ragnarok?
Well, I mean for games. That came out actually pretty shortly. This is where they showed Arkham Knight gameplay for, not the first time, but like still people were really high on. They wanted to see more of it. I'm going to skip some of this stuff because looking back on it, it's not the greatest. But they had indies, and that was cool because the indies were alongside all these giant games. Then they showed that the PS4 was not going to be backwards compatible, and they showed a lot of stuff about PlayStation TV. But it's good that they had it, because they knew what they were doing and they shoved it into a 3-minute section between two giant games. They knew it wasn't good news and they kept it there perfect because they have to have it. They know they have to have it there. Normally I'd say if you don't have anything good to say, just don't say it at all. This has to be there. They said it in the best way that they possibly could. And then they ended everything off with Uncharted 4, which we'd already known was coming, but like we didn't know what it was going to be at the time.
Have you played Uncharted 4?
I played a little bit of Uncharted 4, but even then when I had not played it, I was like, oh, I know who Nathan Drake is. I was like, oh, dude, this is HD. It's HD Nathan.
Dude, that game, I replay every couple of years. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
And then we are running late, and I got a movie to catch.
You're right.
I'm going to see Across the Spider-Verse tonight. So let me hear about one more of your showcase announcements, and then we're going to get to the audience's favorite moments.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about that one moment. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen that video of them revealing Peggle 2?
No.
Oh my god. Dude, the reveal of Peggle 2, it was like an Xbox presentation. I don't remember when this was, but this guy comes out, and he's like, I might be butchering this, but I'm just remembering off the top of the dome. He's like, "Alright, you've all been waiting for it. It's happening. Peggle 2!" And he jumps up, and it's just like this random dude. I don't even know who he is, and he looks a little uncomfortable. And he does one of those like jumping fist bumps.
Mario.
Yeah, like Mario jumping fist bumps and headbangs a little bit, and then the Peggle 2 rainbows come out, and it's like that classical piece that plays when you finish a thing on Peggle 2, and the audience is quiet.
Oh no.
And he walks off, and the next game starts playing.
That is so cool.
And I was thinking about that. I was like...
But think, you remember that.
I do remember that.
I bet they knew that was going to happen, and they still had him do it, because they knew that people would remember it.
That is true. That actually is... probably one of the very rare instances of intentional mishaps to remember things.
Yeah, because I feel like the people knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They're playing the game just like how we're taking in the game.
Yeah, you're right. Let's move on to some audience.
So yes, we asked our audience, what is your favorite moment from an E3 press conference or a video game showcase? I basically just said that because I know directs are very important to some people, including me. Right. So let's see. What do we have here? Okay, so we have Sammy from Miami wrote in and said, E3 2015 with Uncharted 4, as I said.
Of course.
The audience cheers after seeing Nathan move. So that was how the trailer was, where you're like, oh, it's Uncharted 4, let's go! And then you actually see gameplay and you're like, oh, it's Uncharted 4? It's real game?
That's how the game looks? That's always really nice.
Yep. And then we got a submission from Sam T123, my beautiful girlfriend. She said, "You're breathtaking." Do you know what that's in reference to?
I do know what that's reference to, and this is not judgmental at all. It's going to sound judgmental, but do you know if that's ironic? Because if it's ironic, that's funny. But if it's not ironic, that's also completely acceptable.
I don't think it was ironic, because I'm pretty sure that we watched that. So this is in reference to Xbox's 2018? I don't quite remember what year it was. Yeah, it's when they announced Cyberpunk 2070, yes. the re-announce of Cyberpunk 2077, and they showed that Keanu Reeves was going to be Johnny Silverhands, and then the trailer, the hypest trailer of all time, cuts to black, door opens, and then Keanu Reeves steps out on stage and starts talking about the game, and he actually knew what he was talking about.
He did, which is insanity.
And I don't know, so he had a funny little crowd reaction, but just the fact that he was there, that's pretty cool. Like, if you have a celeb, use them. But he knew what he was talking about. He sold the game better than the trailer, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that because I remember more of his part during that presentation than the actual game. And the only reason I say, oh, is that ironic, is because it was memed to death.
It was.
After it happened. And I still sometimes see it on, like, really ironic deep-fried posts. Where it's like, something very, like... neutral happening and you're like, I let this grandma cross the road, and it's like, you're breathtaking, or like a wholesome 100, like in the same vein of that. That's the only reason why I asked if it's ironic. That's it.
Because it was a very exciting moment, especially if you're like a fan of The Matrix and all that. See him come out there and talk about video games. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, the era of Keanu Chungus, wholesome 100.
That was so funny.
Yeah, it's a good time.
All right, then we got a submission from Greg with 2 Gs, 2750, a new submission to our podcast.
Yeah, a newcomer.
It says, E3 2008, Nintendo's live Wii music performance. It's hilariously awkward. And to that I say, yes, it is.
Didn't they get all the people with Wiimotes?
Yeah, they had people with Wiimotes. The best one was the drummer, though. He was sweating so bad. He was like, I'm drumming on Wii music. It was crazy. Because the game looked terrible, and they knew it was terrible. That year might be Nintendo's worst E3, because they were still... Yeah, because they were still like showing off stuff for the Wii, and they already burnt through most of the stuff they had.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Gotta be at E3.
And just I'm using that picture of the dude playing drums for this podcast thumbnail because it is so funny to me.
Oh, good! I can't wait to see. I've actually never seen this.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we're watching it right after this.
Okay.
It is one of the funniest moments from any E3 ever. It is ridiculous.
Ooh, now there's something to look forward to.
And then our final submission from Greggy15 says, the random MK12 trailer drop at E3 and being in class for Sora Smash announcement. So to that first part, I say, we been noticed. They announced MK1 like 3 weeks before Summer Game Fest. I assume, maybe he means MK11 and he mistyped. But even that was at Game Awards, and that was quite surprising.
Either way, I'm assuming it's MK11 because... Yeah, I'm assuming it's MK11.
Okay, in that case, that was because do you remember how they did it?
Didn't they wasn't it just Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting with Ed Boon's Spotify playlist in the background?
Yes, it was. That's really funny.
And they were just like, here it is.
So what they had Ed Boon come out on stage at the Game Awards, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And he goes, hey everyone, it's me, Ed Boon, creator of Mortal Kombat, and I'm here to announce the award for Best Sports and Racing Game. And then it cuts to like the little package that they have, Sports and Racing Game. And then Scorpion Spear cuts through the text, glass shatters, lightning strikes, and then they go right into the trailer.
What?
Yeah, and then they do it, and then they do Sports and Racing Game after.
I didn't see that.
Dude,
Whoa.
it was hype, because as soon as Ed Boon went on the stage, you could hear, the audience was tense. Everyone was like, oh, what's about to happen?
They did something similar with the Smash Joker reveal. They hijacked...
True, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the Game Awards.
Yeah, it was at the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley was like, oh, we got a lot more announcements coming. Oh, what's going on? And then they're like, well, lights cut out. That's what happened with this. And it was crazy. And then it had the 21 Savage song that everyone makes fun of. But it was a really cool trailer.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do a surprise drops like that, where you get a little meta with it, and you're just like, let's fuck around. That's cute.
It was really cool. And then the thing was, it was a CG trailer. So you're like, whatever, I don't like CG trailers.
Yeah.
It ended with more information coming in 2 months.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're next.
Well, I did say you're next, which is awesome.
Which is a good tagline.
And now it's in our blood. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it's about fighting. And then he says, being in class for Sora Smash announcement trailer. Again, we're going to talk about Smash another time.
Were you there for that?
I was not in that class. But
I was.
Just these Smash announcements, and I'm going to say E3 in general, always happen at the most inconvenient time for students. I was in class all the time, except whenever E3 was on the weekends. And even then, I was like working when I had a job. So I watched so many of these press conferences just like on my phone in my pocket, peeking out every once in a while, and then rewatch them later. So that's why I think I might have so much like built up knowledge about a lot of these showcases and remember like what was in each one, because I've watched them like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. I have a little thing about that.
Okay.
About the Sora Smash announcement trailer.
Okay.
I was with him in that class. And I was trying to pay attention, but like, I was right eye and the teacher, left eye on his computer.
On Dark Souls coming to Smash.
Yeah, I told you about this. Yeah, okay, but for the people at home, I was so I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
No, you're justified.
Yeah, I don't know how many people were thinking that same thing. It's probably more than I think it is, but thinking back on it, I was like, why the fuck would that happen? But when Mario it's like the big thing of flame, and it kind of looks like a bonfire, and Mario
complete darkness,
and he puts his hand into it. I'm like, it's just. What the fuck? Who's Chosen Undead? Why? What are they doing? This is gonna be the last character? Like, I was excited. I'm a big Dark Souls fan, so a part of me was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," but every other part of me was like, "Why would they do this? This makes no sense." And then he throws the sword. I go, "Oh!" And I just was like sitting there in like confusion and shock. I was like, "This is cool," but I just went through a lot. I went through a roller coaster of emotion and the 7 stages of grief. Somehow, for some reason, and it was really strange. But yeah, that's it.
That was great. We should rank all the Smash character announcements on a podcast. That's a great idea.
I would do that. I think we were literally just given a suggestion that we should do a ranking episode, and I think we both have enough knowledge to do that.
We should do that. All right, so let's move in. We're going to wrap up pretty quickly here. Let's move into talking about what we're highlighting this week.
Yes.
So I'm going back to Jake's Indie Corner, which I haven't been to in quite a while.
I like Jake's Indie Corner quite a bit.
And this week I'm showcasing Viewfinder, which I played on my stream, twitch.tv/softlockjakes, no plug. It's been around for a while. They've showed a couple trailers at it. It was at what's that? Like the video game trade show that's just for developers. You know what I'm talking about? What's that called? GDC.
GDC?
Game Developer Conference.
When they just are 3 letters,
Yeah, I think it was there, and a lot of people, like, I had known about it before, but it was there, and a lot of press got to play it, and then it was like, oh, this is something special. So what this is you can go around and take a picture of anything, and then recreate that picture. It's a 2D picture, but you can place it in your perspective. So like if I take a picture of a door and I'm looking straight at a wall, and I put the picture there, I can then walk through that door and go to the other side of the wall.
Right.
And I'd have no idea how they make it work. It is technical wizardry.
I was watching you stream it yesterday, and I was like, because I was finishing Mario Rabbids, which I didn't talk about this week, but I'm going to talk about it probably next week, maybe. And I would like look up. I go, oh, this is a really weird game. Look up, look down.
Yeah, it was insane. It broke my brain. It actually gave me a headache because it was so crazy. I just can't imagine how they had this idea and then followed through with it.
Must have been a very complicated engine.
Yeah, it absolutely. I think it might be Source Engine. It felt like it.
Source Engine is.
Or sorry, Unity. It felt like Unity.
Okay, Unity is very malleable. I think.
It is, yeah. And
you didn't finish it, did you? No.
So I finished the demo. The game comes out on July 18th, but you can play free demo on PlayStation right now, which is a great move for them. Because as soon as you see the mechanic once, you know that you're in for something special. It is truly special, and I implore you to look up Viewfinder PS5.
Is the narrative, because it seems like there's some type of narrative there, is it actually interesting? Because I heard one of the characters say a line very offhand, very casually went, "Did you just change reality?" And I went, "What?"
Yeah, they also were like, "Oh, that's what's up," or something like that. And I'm like, this sounds like Forspoken. I was playing on stream, so I wasn't really listening to the narrative or anything. I will go back and play it, and I'll report back to you. But the fact that it has a story is more than enough for me, because I was like, I just expect it to be pure gameplay. It's that cool.
Just something to take you through it.
Yeah, just something, a little narrator.
We should play Forspoken. We should do a co-op Forspoken. No.
All right, what are you highlighting this week?
So, you sent me a tweet a couple days ago. Might have been Wednesday. Don't remember. Doesn't matter.
I woke up at the ass crack of dawn and opened Twitter, and I saw something, and Jonathan needs to see this.
Oh, you know what it was? I think it was actually Tuesday, or I think it was Tuesday, because that was Isla's birthday, my girlfriend's birthday, and I was obviously doing stuff for her birthday, getting stuff ready, getting surprises ready, and stuff like that, and you sent me that, and I was like... So I was like, kind of like, I had that in the back of my mind all day, because the only thing, it was just a little teaser, it was this 3D trailer, like, just teaser from Dingaling Productions, which is, that's the name...
I forgot that's what it's called.
That's the name of the guy, the name of the production house, and I'm pretty sure it's just one guy, and... It was just this, and one of my favorite games ever is Lisa the Painful, and it was a 3D rendering of some of the locations in Lisa the Painful, like the introductory, and I went, no fucking way! And I remember I just spoke about this like a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago.
I think on the Nintendo Switch episode.
Yeah, I think on the Nintendo Switch episode I said, man, I can't believe Lisa the Painful is not on the Switch yet, because it's perfect for the Switch, and Switch is the home for indies, so the whole day I was like, oh shit, and I was like checking that page. I had it open all day, and then it happened. And I remember I was with Isla, and we were talking, and I checked it, and there was a new video. I went, I need to watch something! And I turned around, and I went into my room, and I closed the door, and I went, and I just like stared at my screen, and it wasn't a remake of Lisa the Painful, but it doesn't have to be, because there's a definitive version for consoles, something I never thought I would see, honestly, with new content. And Lisa the Painful is one of my favorite games ever. It is probably the master of tone and balancing that tone, telling a deep story but being really fucking funny at the same time. Master of tone. I can't think of many other games that have reached that level of mastery. Gameplay is really good and addicting, but my real draw is the narrative, the tone, the humor, the morbidity. I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think a lot of people And Lisa has a very devout following, honestly. Very, very popular when it came out. But obviously we've had silence for so many years. I think this could be the second coming.
Yeah, I'm very excited to jump in with this definitive edition because it seems like they're fixing a lot of like any of the issues that were there and then also making it a lot more accessible.
Yes, and something I think a lot of people have to do, check their expectations on the gameplay. It's not bad, but it's not fantastic.
Well, it's very Earthbound. It's very RPG Maker type gameplay. It's also the game itself is very Yume Nikki. Do you know? You familiar with that?
I am very familiar.
So it's just like weird, right? It's just bizarre.
It is, but a game that actually is really like Yume Nikki is Amori. But I can't talk about that because we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But I could talk a lot about Amori. I could talk a lot about these weird indies all day, and we may one day. But keep that on your radar. Lisa Definitive Edition. Don't know how much we're going to talk about this as well. Persona 3 Remake. Looks so good.
Okay. If you don't want to hear anything about Persona 3 Remake, get out now.
Yeah, get it. Leave.
Tell me what you saw because I didn't watch the trailer.
I just saw game good. I don't know how to explain. I quite literally don't know how to explain it. It's very short. It starts off with Aegis. How do you pronounce it?
Aegis.
Aegis. That's the secret third definition. That character, just on like the edge of a mountain, just staring out, and she looks at the camera. And she starts to say something, and then it cuts right into the gameplay. And it has that bumpin' P3 soundtrack.
Oh, dude.
And
they're gonna remaster the soundtrack?
Oh, I don't know if it's remastered. But it sounds really fucking good.
Okay.
And it looks like it's completely redone from the ground up, and it looks so visually stunning, sharp and stylish, just like Persona 5 and 4 and 3, but just dialed up to 11. The pause screen, you're gonna see that. And I think that's what you're going to go, that's probably what's going to make you come. You're going to see that they show the pause screen. I think they're really proud of it because it's really, really attractive. That's just so good. And it's not even the style and the UI and the graphics, and that's good. But literally the characters look good. The combat looks good. It looks fucking phenomenal. I can't believe how good the game looks.
Even if it looks visually as good as that deep fried potato Discord video that got leaked from the game a couple months ago. Of shooting the bow. Mm-hmm. If it even looks just as good as that, I'm in. And I imagine it looks better.
As good as that, and much, much. I really think you haven't watched it, right?
No, I'm gonna lose my mind when I see it though. I watched the first 5 seconds, and I was like, "Stop! I can't watch this right now."
You may just wanna blow your load early and just watch the leaked one.
I gotta watch it in 4K though. I need to wait for the 4K version to come out.
It's so good.
Because I love Persona 3's style. That's my favorite thing about it, and I love the characters as well. And the fact that now the style is gonna be way more amped up, and the characters are gonna look good. This might be my most anticipated game. It might be.
It is mine now, and something I feel like I have a reputation of never being excited for anything. So when something really excites me like this, I'm I'm shivering. I'm quaking even.
Also, Persona 3 Reload. Come on, man. That's the best name they could have. That is the greatest name I think they could have possibly came up with. That is so good. It is so good.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you have a different opinion on it. Because okay, no, that's a lie. Because I do agree. I do think it's a really, really good title.
That's such a good
title. What's with these puns with the remakes?
Because they could have just called it Persona 3 Remake, but they shoot themselves in the head with guns.
That is true. What is it? Remake, Rebirth, Reunion, Reload. What is this?
I love it though. That is such a cool title. Oh my god, I can't wait for the Xbox showcase now.
But someone is gonna do something like that where they're gonna remake a game. And it's going to be a pun, re-something, and it's going to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, you're right.
You were going to say something. You look very passionate.
Persona 3 Reload is coming to Game Pass day 1.
What?
It's going to be on Xbox Game Pass day 1.
How do companies make money doing that? That's crazy.
Because Xbox pays them the money. That's how.
How is that profitable?
For Xbox?
Yeah.
Because you know how many people are going to sign up to play Persona 3 Reload, and that game is 120 hours long, so they're going to have a subscription for 3 months. So then they just paid for the cost of the game anyway?
But it's $1, isn't it? Or is it more than
They don't really do that anymore.
Oh, they don't?
They do sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense now. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and that is so, and that's where I'm gonna play it. I want to play it on Switch, but I want to play it in like crisp high def. So I'm gonna get it on the Xbox.
Yeah, I'm getting it on.
Oh my god, I was excited for it. I've been excited for it ever since I saw that leak a couple months ago. I can't believe how excited I am for it now.
Dude, like,
my body's vibrating.
I thought I only really cared about Persona 4. I like Persona 5 a lot. And I'm interested in playing Persona 3, like the original. But Persona 4 was like kind of like my baby. I think about it. It's like a happy place for me for some reason.
It's a happy game.
Yeah, it's a happy game. And I just played it
sometimes.
recently. Yeah. And I just played it recently. So it's not like it's childhood nostalgia. I just really it makes me feel good. Everything just came together to be just perfect in my opinion. So the fact that this came out, and I thought I wouldn't give a shit because I saw the Yukari leaks and I was like, a remake, another remake to add to the pile. Whatever. And then I saw it, I was like, so right. My mind has changed, but we can talk about this fucking ages.
Yeah, I am so excited for this. I can't wait to talk about it more whenever the game eventually does come out and we review it on the podcast.
Yes.
I would love that so much. Of course, it's a really long game, so I don't know. But we got to cut it right now.
We did.
We've been going for this is our longest podcast ever.
I know. I was gonna say I'm surprised that this is the one that we've done. So much.
I love showcases, and I knew I was gonna have a lot to say, and I'm glad that we had a lot to argue about.
Yes.
Okay. So, unless you have anything else for the audience.
I'm good. I feel satisfied.
Thank you so much if you're listening this long into the episode to hear us rant about Persona 3 Reload. Please give us a review on whatever podcast service you're on. And now that we're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, of course. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to see us do different on the YouTube version. Right now, we're just going to stick to some basic video and audio because the whole concept of this podcast was to be an audio podcast. So we'll give you something to listen to, or a little something to look at while you listen to us. But I'm not going to put a camera right in my face just yet. So you can follow us on Instagram at SoftlockPod. And next episode, in 2 weeks, I believe, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy and classic RPGs.
Just in time for 16.
Yes, I'll have my hands on Final Fantasy 16 for about 1 day by the time that we record that episode, so I will report back.
And I will not, but I've been playing the older ones, so I'll have something to say.
So check our Instagram if you'd like to comment on classic and modern RPGs. So we will see you in the next one, all right?
All right.
See ya!